The eyes of the world were on St. Peter's Square this morning as Jorge Mario Bergoglio became Pope Francis, the new leader of the world's 1.2 billion Catholics and the first non-European pontiff for nearly 1,300 years. At 8:50 am local time in front of 100,000 cheering pilgrims and 132 foreign delegations, Francis emerged from his temporary lodging at the Vatican Hotel to tour the cheering crowds under clear blue skies in an open Pope mobile. As he crisscrossed the piazza, flanked by 20 or so bodyguards, he stopped frequently to greet pilgrims and kiss babies. At one point he got out of the vehicle to bless a disabled man. He then entered St. Peter's Basilica to don his vestments and stop by the tomb of St. Peter before re-entering the vast piazza to begin the special mass that would see him officially installed as the 266th Pope. He began his homily with the words, "Dear brothers and sisters," and went on to emphasize his commitment to the poor. The Pope must open his arms to protect all of God's people and embrace with tender affection the whole of humanity, especially the poorest, the weakest and least important, he said. But as any pope knows, things don't always go to plan, and within an hour, in the process of greeting visiting heads of state, the new pontiff found himself shaking hands with President Robert Mugabe and his wife Grace. Francis looked slightly awkward as he greeted the Zimbabwean tyrant, who has been banned from entering the EC since 2002 following accusations of decades of human rights abuses. Mr. Mugabe is, however, able to pass through Italy to attend religious ceremonies at the Vatican. There was more controversy following Argentine President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner's call for Francis to intervene over the Falkland Islands. British government representative Baroness Worsley was today forced to deny suggestions that Britain's low-level representation was a reaction to Francis's past comments that Britain had usurped the South Atlantic Islands. Baroness Worsley, a foreign minister, is in Rome along with Minister without portfolio Kenneth Clarke. The Duke of Gloucester, the 21st in line to the throne, represented the Queen, who has never attended a papal inauguration. "I think it's been a very good British delegation. It was chosen soon after the news of Benedict's abdication," Baroness Worsley said. Francis made those comments in the past when he was the Archbishop of Buenos Aires. The relations between the Holy See and the British government are currently, following the last papal visit to the UK, the best they've been for a very long time. With dozens of heads of state and more than 500,000 people expected to head for the Vatican this morning, Rome was on lockdown with hundreds of extra police on the streets. Security in Rome's airports and throughout the city was on high alert and many roads were closed. In the context, however, of the historic events of the last 6 weeks, kicked off by Benedict's announcement that he would abdicate, and even in respect to the Angelus gathering at St. Peter's Square 2 days ago, there was perhaps a slight sense of anticlimax. But if the vast piazza was less crowded than many had predicted, some commented on the tranquility of the atmosphere. "Everyone seems relaxed and happy. It's very different from the atmosphere, say, at the beatification of John Paul II. That was unlike anything I've ever seen," said Vatican watcher and Schnabel of the Zenith Catholic News Service. Many pilgrims shouted "Long live the Pope." One of the hundreds of banners read, "Assisi is waiting for you," although presumably, the people waving it were not hoping for the encounter to take too soon. In the piazza, Haley Dawson, 19, the theology student from St. Mary's College in Twickenham, said, "He seems so humble. He seems like a man who knows the poor. This really does seem like a change for the church." Today's ceremony began just after 9 a.m. local time at St. Peter's tomb, where the Piscatary ring or ring of the fisherman and the pallium woolen vestment of the papal office was conferred on a new pope. Communion was given by the deacons of the church square and by another 500 priests in St. Peter's Square. In keeping with his reputation for modesty and lack of pomp, Pope Francis, who named himself after the simple monk, Francis of Assisi, has opted for a gold-plated silver ring, rather than the usual solid gold. The Piscatary ring depicts St. Peter fishing from the side of a boat. It served as the official signet to seal papal documents until 1842. The inauguration ceremony was also shorter than usual. After, Francis dedicated much of his homily to our treatment of the dispossessed. But alluding to his conservative social agenda, the new pontiff, who is opposed to gay marriage and full rights for divorcees, he also called on all those who have positions of responsibility in economic, political and social life to be protectors of creation. Of the foreign delegations, U.S. Vice President Joe Biden, a Catholic, was representing his country. President Barack Obama is on an official visit to Israel. German Chancellor Angela Merkel, European Commission President José Manuel Barroso, Jean-Marc Ayrault, the French Premier and King Albert II and Queen Maud of Belgium, were also present. Different Christian denominations and different religions were present. Egypt has sent its culture minister Mohammed Saber Arab, and there were 16 delegations from Jewish communities.